Hi, friends, it's Heidi M. And I'm back with another film spotlight. Yes, some great film coming to you. And this time I'm spotlighting a film that premiered at TIFF last year titled Youngblood, a new Canadian hockey feature film, which has had a theatrical release in Canada but is now available on video on demand. Youngblood is a modern reimagining of the 1986 hockey film of the same title, starring Rob Lowe, if you remember that film. This reimagining or retelling of the story offers a really thoughtful and hard-hitting take on masculinity, race, and resilience within the sport of hockey. It is directed by Hubert Davis, and Hubert Davis actually directed a documentary called Black Ice, which won the People's Choice Documentary Award at TIFF in 2022. So this film, Youngblood, combines high stakes on the ice in terms of action with a really intimate and thoughtful character study of a young player trying to navigate these toxic team dynamics and inherited expectations. The film stars Ashton James as Dean Youngblood, who was conditioned by his father Blaine, played by Blair Underwood, and he's being raised to match any slight on the ice with a greater show of aggression. So Dean is a player whose potential for greatness is sort of stymied by his volatility. And there's a chance for him to play for the Hamilton Mustangs, which could be his last opportunity to reset the course. So that means he has to contend with toxic teammates and find a way to work with his coach, Murray, played by Sean Doyle, who's actually really skeptical of Dean's abilities. And that relationship between Dean and the coach gets more complicated because Dean develops a nice friendship and connection with the coach's daughter, Jessie, played by Alexandra McDonald, who is a promising athlete herself. The film is really interesting to watch as a sports fan if you are someone who loves hockey. It has some really great action on and off the ice. It also has really great quieter performances or scenes that give us kind of an insight, the insight of what these young folks are thinking about as they're trying to decide what to do next with their lives. So to explore what it means to be a young person in sports, I will be speaking with East Coast actor Alexandra McDonald. As I mentioned, she portrays Jessie, a promising athlete whose relationship with Dean adds tension, but also gives the themes more strength in terms of exploring the ideas of identity and ambition as you move forward in life. So I leave you with my conversation with Alexandra McDonald. And Youngblood, as I mentioned, is available on demand now at most platforms, digital platforms. So check it out. Hi, friends. It's Heidi M, and I'm back on field today. It's been a minute, and today I'm sitting with Alexandra McDonald.
Hi.
Nice to meet you in person
Nice
and
to meet
being
you
able
as
to
well.
hang out over a coffee. This is something I haven't done in a minute, so I appreciate it. Alexandra, we're going to talk about your latest project, which is Youngblood, a film that's premiered at TIFF last year, and it's coming out in cinemas soon. But I think I personally like to learn more about you. I know you've done like the media circuit this week in Toronto, and I've learned a lot about you in terms of being someone who's experienced in hockey as a young person and through your high school years. Um, and also how pivotal your role in this film has become because of that experience. And maybe let's start by setting up the film. I'll do that. And then, so Youngblood is a story about a young man named Dean Youngblood, and who's a hockey prodigy who joins the Hamilton Bulldogs and has to deal with toxic behavior during his journey in the National Hockey League. But you are playing the character of Jessie, who becomes very close to Dean, and this is sort of where your experience in hockey comes in. So having set the film up, tell me in terms of being able to incorporate
a passion of yours from childhood into a role that just seems so ideal. What was that like?
Well, yeah, the moment that I got my audition tape back in 2021, because it's been quite a long process, I immediately saw hockey and I was like, "Brr, nobody else is getting this role. Like, I, I, I'm born for this. This is the one time through the hundreds of auditions where it just immediately stuck out, being like, okay, I really have a chance at getting this role. What can I do to really prove to them and solidify that this is going to be mine?" So in the audition process, we get breakdowns of what we have to do for the self tape, and they're like skating footage required. And so I was playing in a competitive. I still play hockey to this day.
Oh, you do? Amazing.
So I was playing in a competitive women's league at the time, and I got a friend to come videotape me playing hockey. I was like, I'm not just going to give you skating. How can I give you a hockey game that was shot 2 days ago?
Yes.
And so immediately I think I stuck out in that way. I'm not sure if there was every girl my age auditioned for this role.
I bet.
And so because you kind of can understand who's auditioning for roles, especially when you get to the callback stage, there's little social media hints that make you realize that you who you might be up against.
Interesting.
And just like word of mouth of like friends who are actors, like, oh yeah, so and so has a callback, so and so, blah blah blah. And I'm looking at their profiles, and they might have a bigger career than me, but I'm like, I know that they don't play hockey. So it wasn't immediately mine. I still felt like they could go in any direction, but I was really determined to make them believe that my hockey experience and background would really help amplify Jessie's voice and character.
Sure.
So that's kind of how I felt like the moment that I saw the audition process or the audition tape come in, and but it's quite a long journey until I actually got the part.
I bet.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll just backtrack a bit in terms of reading for the role of Jessie. What was it? I know that she's a young person and trying to also navigate the hockey world as a young woman, but a little different from you where she's a goalie.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So the skill set is slightly different.
It is. Yeah.
So how did you prepare for that in terms?
Well, if I was hired a little bit earlier, I probably would have found a goalie coach to help me just get in the mindset and just like physical ness of a goalie. But I played like ball hockey goalie like growing up. Like I know I'd been on a team with goalie. I know how they move. I know how they hold their stick. I know how they like drink their water bottle through their mask and stuff. And that's kind of all I had to do in the film. And we had a stunt double, and she was a goalie. All of her getting into physicality of a goalie wasn't difficult for me. And so we had a stunt double, and she wasn't like this. Jessie is this amazing goalie, so it's really hard to capture that.
She's a superstar goalie.
Yeah. So I wanted to do her justice for sure. So when they got into my close-ups and stuff, and they got me in the net, they're like, "Oh, you're better than the stunt," because I was giving it my all. Like I probably had more skin in the game.
Sure.
So, that's kind of the background as to how I got into the physicalness of Jessie. I just know how goalies hold themselves. It's just something that growing up in that sport, it's very innate.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was going to ask you, because I know from having done a little bit of research, you started as young as 5, of being on the ice. So that confidence kind of carries you through, right? To now, because you still play. And I kind of want to, out of curiosity, how being involved in 2 different passion projects, like hockey is one passion, and then you have your acting, which is another passion. How does that inform the other in a way, in terms of like your personal routine? How do you approach collaborating in the arts, for example?
I have talked with my boyfriend is a production designer and comes from a big sports background as well.
Yeah.
We always talk about how sports has shaped us.
Sure.
And really gives the confidence and the determination to work hard in the arts. Like, I really do think having a sports background really benefits someone who's an artist, because that discipline and determination and that uh, don't quit mentality that you get from sports really lends itself to art,
Right.
and especially acting too, when it's so acting is so competitive, whether or not you don't want to admit it.
Yes.
Like, you're competing all the time.
Sure.
And so having that just that experience throughout my childhood of knowing, am I going to make this team? Like, I've been fighting to make a team since I was 6 or something.
For sure.
So
for
I
sure.
understand, it's really comfortable for me to be competitive and working towards goals. And so I really do think, if I wasn't in sports as a kid, how would my mindset be now as an actor? Because it is a really tough industry.
For sure. And also, you mentioned in one of the interviews that I really liked, where you mentioned how you also knew at a very young age you loved acting to some degree, right? So you kind of already had that sparked in your mind that you wanted to be. Did you know you wanted to be on screen or on stage? Or
My mom was in theater when I was a kid, and she wasn't someone who was like, I want to be an actor. It was kind of part of her hobbies. She did theater. The reason why I started thinking about acting as a career was because my mom was in a play, and me and my sisters went to go see her on stage, and she was playing 3 different characters, and she had to kiss her co-star, and my sisters were like, oh my God, why would you do that? That's so embarrassing. They're getting secondhand embarrassment. Meanwhile, I was like, that is so cool, and I want to do that. Whatever that was, I want to do it. So since my mom comes from this very artistic family, her dad was an arts teacher, her 3 brothers were all artists. Her herself, she now is an accountant, but she has a business degree, and all throughout my childhood, she worked for the arts sector of she was always the business arts person.
Right.
So she's always been helping artists strive in their career.
Amazing.
So she obviously had a big hand in pushing me towards being an actor, and she was just like, well, if you want to be an actor, you have to go to school for it.
Right.
Where other parents would be like,
I know.
go to school for something else. And then
This could be your backup,
exactly.
not your main. Yes.
Exactly. But she was like, you got to go learn it if you want to be it. So she is a huge reason for where I am today. And then my dad is a huge reason for my hockey and sports background.
Right.
Yeah.
So you got a good balance in that sense. And I think I'm glad that you mentioned how they complement each other in terms of how you now navigate collaboration in film, and because you do a lot of film. And have you done TV as well? I know you studied film and television.
I did. I have done TV. Yes, I have. Yeah.
Yeah. What would you say is sort of a slight difference
in film versus
TV, and maybe your approach to the roles?
Film, I feel very comfortable in, because people who are making up them are very dedicated to that piece of work. It's the filmmaker probably was making the script for the past 10 years.
Sure,
the
yes.
directors, this is their work. When it goes to theater, it's going to say directed by,
right,
on a big screen and stuff. And so I like film because of the preciseness of it. I don't know if preciseness is a word. Yeah.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. It's very delicate, and you have room to talk about the character, because they want this film to do really well.
Sure.
It's very isolated. And then for TV, it's it's just get it done. Right. Everybody, it's a 100-day shoot, day 52.
It's longer term, so they gotta churn things.
Yeah. I am going to be in a TV show. I start in March. So I'll be more refreshed with how, come on set and do this and goodbye. Yeah. And it's going to be so easy. Well, film, mostly when I'm in the past 3 films that I've done, I've been one of the main characters. So it's I had a lot of space to
Yeah.
talk to the director what I think about this scene, and then for television, it's like just all right, we got it, let's go.
Yeah, like you have to show up prepared and ready to go. Yeah, I guess it's interesting because I would assume a little bit differently, but again, I'm not on set, so it's nice to be able to hear your experience. In terms of, you said you went to school. Your mom said that you should go to school, and you came to Toronto. You're from PEI, and you came to Toronto at a young age. And
17.
Yes, very young. Yeah. And you immerse yourself in school in terms of acting. What lessons have stayed with you from that time that it's kind of like part of a toolkit, if you will?
Well, when I realized I got accepted into Humber College, I was sitting in my little high school in PEI, and I was like, in 2 months, I'm going to be living in Toronto? Like, what? How am I going to do that? And my mom was like, if anybody can do it, it's you. And I was just like, okay, if my mom thinks that, and she's sending her youngest daughter to go do it, she must believe me. So it taught me a lot of discipline. Well, I already had discipline within this sports aspect of my life. Now it gave me discipline within the arts.
Right.
Because my professors were like, if you're 5 minutes late twice in one semester, like you could be cut out of this program.
Oh, wow.
So I was running through floor station, running to get to the bus. Like, it was in PI, you drive everywhere.
Right,
like,
yes.
To take the subway was a new learning lesson for me. And to make sure, like, I didn't know about delays or what that meant, and transfers and this and that. And so it took me about an hour and a half to get to school, and I was 2, and PI, it takes you 10 minutes to get somewhere. So it just taught me a new type of discipline within the arts, and also that I was the only kid in my program that wasn't from Ontario.
Oh, I see. That's huge too.
So it just like motivated me in different ways that were very subtle. Like, oh, I'm the only one not from Ontario. Oh, I grew up entirely different than all of you guys. Not like just in not in a way that I'm like, I'm not better, obviously, for growing up off PEI. I'm not worse. It's just like grew up different. And like, and actually, I always thought PEI was going to be a disadvantage, but I realized since my community growing up is so close, and I knew tons of different people very personally, and I went to church, I was in sports, I had a big family. I have like 6 aunts, 6 uncles that were at PEI, and so I had all these people to pull from. And where in Ontario, sometimes like people moved here from different countries or don't have a lot of extended family here, or they live in Ontario but they live 4 hours away.
That's
So
right.
I just felt like I had so many cousins growing up. I had so many experiences I could draw from to make me a better actor.
I think that's important to mention, having community, right? And I think you kind of, before we started recording, you talked a little bit about also, as much as you kind of learn to be in the city and navigate the city, there's still something missing when you were here. And you now know more of what that is. Can you tell more about that?
Yeah, so when I moved here, I remember I was like, I need to find a friend. I have my friend Nico, who I live with. He's like a few years older than me. He's like into it. He's into the arts, but not acting.
Right.
He had his own friend group and stuff, and I was like, I just need to find one friend, like a female friend that I can borrow with.
Yeah.
And actually, that's when I met Zara Bentham, who is pretty well-known Toronto actress, and she was one of the first girls I met. And another batmate I met, Karina Evans, which she is very well-known. She's directing like an A24 and HBO series right now in New York. She directed like all of Drake's music videos.
Right.
Those were the 2 girls that I met who are still friends of mine. So it was hard to meet community here and expand on that, but I took some straight-on acting studio classes where I met a lot of queer Canadian artists like Clark Bacco, Georgia Cadence, Jonathan Penny. And just on like it's fun. I have community here, but it wasn't enough of my sports, and I didn't have my life that I wanted completely. So when I moved back to Halifax, Nova Scotia, I'm now on a softball team. I'm on a hockey team, and then and there's a booming film industry. So in Halifax, yeah, I've been able to balance my life as an actor, creative, and still honoring my sports background, which I thought when I moved here at 18, I was like, cold turkey stopped it. I'm like, did it really mean that much? And then like a year in, I'm like, why don't I feel like myself?
Yeah, for sure. That's big. So finding balance is something that is key for you.
I'm a Libra.
You're a Libra, makes sense. I'm an Aquarius. I don't know what that means. But I know the Libra, the balance. I'm mindful of time, but I do want to bring things back to Youngblood and this like really pivotal role you have in this, because you are your friend, love interest to the main character, but also you're navigating your own world in that hockey sphere of being like a young woman trying to make decisions about where to go next. And I know that's something that's important to you as a person because you still are a sports person. And what did it mean for you to portray sort of like, I guess, like this role for either younger women in sports? I kind of want to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, I hope Jessie inspires young girls when they watch this film to be like, oh, I want to be like Jessie, like the way she carries herself, the way she is, pushes Dean and stuff in Youngblood. She challenges her male love interest, and I think that's important for females growing up to not to always have this confidence and never let like a man and persuade you in any type of way. Not that Dean is doing that to Jessie, but like I really like that she has a little bit of an edge with them. And she's real with them, and he does the same to her. I think it's like a very. I was talking to Ashton recently, and I was like, "Do you think Jessie and Dean actually like confirmed a relationship?"
I was gonna ask you what you thought of that,
and we're like,
without giving too much away, but like,
and I was like, I don't know, but we were there for each other in a way that. Just we saw one another in each other.
Right.
We both really wanted to be great at our sport. And within Jessie's story, she's like, yeah, you can be great. You could go on, make a bunch of money.
Right.
Like, so why aren't you trying harder? Am I giving up and making excuses? Where for me, I try just as hard as you. I'm on ice every day. And what, I'm going to make 30,000, maybe 50, maybe 80 if I get good sponsorship. Like I have to work.
But even then, that's still like,
it's like that's pretty much $1 million.
Oh, it's astronomical in terms of it.
That's like the lowest. We're like scale of the NHE again. But so I hope when young girls are watching this film, they're like, yeah, we do work hard at sports, but we're still not gonna stop because we want to honor with the work, all the work that we put in, and like, I hope in the future that the pay rate goes up for them. Like there's a lot of eyes, even during the Olympics, what happened with that horrible joke or whatever you would call it. Now. I saw last night that the PWHL game here in Toronto against Montreal had the most fans ever.
No way, that's amazing.
Yeah. So now I just got chills. Now I'm seeing it change. Yes. So I'm here to be a voice of change. I hope the young girls watching it just are like that. I'm gonna work hard to this sport, and we're gonna keep on advocating for ourselves, and we deserve the same pay rate as them, but hopefully like just female hockey gets a bigger audience because that will help the pay go up.
I think so. I think there's a lot more young women and girls playing as it is a lot of different sports, right? So I mean, I'm glad to see that things are changing, but I definitely think there's room for improvement. Yeah. So I echo everything you've said. Yeah. I also do want to highlight that you are also an example of somebody who's navigating multiple passions, and that is possible. Yeah. Right? So maybe just kind of thinking of things that way, you're able to be in feature films and also still pursue the love of the sports, and is that something that you see yourself continuing in the long term?
I don't think, I can't give up on sports again in my life because there's there's a big hole missing in my body when I heal. I think it's funny how a lot of people do this. They think if I focus on this, and they sweat out to fall swim. Well, are you focusing on that 24 hours a day? Do you have 1 hour to go play a sport so you can just like unwind and get some aggression out that's gonna furthermore help your career some way? Like, I find when I had a hockey game on Sunday, and I was kind of aggressive when I played hockey.
I wouldn't guess that.
I know. You
I'm
wouldn't
just
guess it.
kidding, though.
But I would get aggressive, I'd get chirpy, like these emotions would come out of me, and I felt that happening to me on Sunday. Mostly I try to keep it down, but it was happening again. And I was thinking, ooh, well, if there's ever a role that comes by where I need to be a little bit more feistier, I know it lives inside of me.
You can do it.
Yeah, like I just like sports teach you so many aspects about yourself, and kind of take away, like, you find places in your body where you're like, oh, aggression sits here when I'm mad. Like, it's just, for acting, I don't think, if you don't act, it's hard to, like, intellectualize this aspect of acting where it's like, you really do need to be in touch with your body when you're acting.
For sure.
Like, I used to pinch my stomach before a scene where I knew that my character was going to be anxious, because I was like, because if I was truly anxious, my stomach would,
would feel something,
up,
right? Yeah.
So just to feel inside your body, I think is very beneficial for acting, and sports helps that with me.
That makes sense. That is so true. The connection of mind body is applicable in all disciplines, but definitely more, I guess we see it more in sports, but I also have heard similar notes from other people who act in terms of like just being able to sit with yourself in your body. I kind of feel all the feels, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And like even like if we're losing, like on Sunday it was a playoff game, and so many emotions go through your body in sports, and it's an interesting tool for acting.
That is so true.
Yeah.
And for when you're in the moment in a sports scene, you are also experiencing emotions at a faster rate too.
Yeah.
Right? But then you also have to navigate, how do you control it, stay present.
Which is her big part of Youngblood. Like learning his restraint.
Yes.
And I connect with that so much. I was kind of thinking about that on Sunday. I was like, this is Dean Youngblood's journey. It's learning how to not act on aggression, to learn restraint. And that is, seriously, hockey is such a hard aspect of the sport, because for men especially, you're supposed to be this tough guy.
Yes, of course.
But then it's getting him in trouble. It's making him, it's like a detriment to his career.
Yes, it could be like the end, right? And I think that's what I liked about that film too, is that there's you trying to balance that side for him as a friend and love interest, but also him with himself, figuring that out, right? Like, I was taught to be one way. It's not working out.
Exactly.
So what am I going to do about it?
Yeah.
So Youngblood actually opens soon, March 6th, and across North America, right?
I saw the theaters it was going to in the US, and I was like,
how do you feel about that?
I'm like, so what's scary for me is that, like, I'll be here with you or with a friend doing something, and my face could be on a screen and people are perceiving me. I'm like, well, I want to know what you thought. So it's a little, I'm curious to see how my life will change, stay the same. Or it won't stay the same. It's gonna change a little bit maybe, but like see what audience members will think of Youngblood. I'm really proud of the film. It's a really well done hockey film, and I think hockey lovers are really gonna respect how well the hockey is shown in this film.
For sure. I think so. I will say, your face is going to be on big screen. And you were also kind of sharing that the film is in LA, but it's also going to be showing in your home, like your new hometown of Halifax and things like that.
Yeah. So I saw the theaters for Canada and the US, but I'm going to be playing on a lot of screens. So I'm excited to see what hockey fans will see of it. I'm people are like, why remake Youngblood?
Oh yes,
there's some commentary on that, but it's not a remake. It's totally reimagined. So I think once people see that it's
its own thing.
We took the themes of the original and flipped it entirely.
For sure.
So I'm excited to see what people who loved Youngblood in the 80s, what they'll think of this one. And hopefully, the one in the 80s, the hockey is horrible.
It's also, they were not hockey players like you are and other people in the film.
Ross Lowe is shooting left in one scene and the
right
is the next door. So,
and this is what happens, right? When one, you have the expertise of the sport, and two, you have a keen eye for detail because you're also an actor, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think there's room for reimagination in film, right? Like, look at all these monster films that are reimagined over and over again. Yeah. I'm a fan of genre films, but so I think there's room for everything. And I also think, to your point about just having the story being kind of flipped. Yes, flipped is what you were saying. I like it because there's also new audiences, right? Like younger audiences that also deserve to have their own version of these stories.
Yeah, because if a young audience watched Youngblood, that of 1980s one, they would be bored within a second. Just the way it's shot.
Sure, very different energy.
Just not how we consume art these days. So now, like, I have a cousin who's 11. He's on a AAA team in Halifax, and his whole hockey team is going to go watch the film.
Wow, that's so cool.
So I'm just like, there's a new generation of kids that are hockey fanatics that are going to go see it, and hopefully they'll be like, my favorite movie, Youngblood. And, like, I hope that will be the case.
I love that. And I love that for you. Congratulations, Alexandra.
Thank you so much.
And we'll stay tuned for other things that you're working on.
For sure.
Thank you.